What was the topic? How to increase Iman during Ramadan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Tom.
Okay. Bismillah, we're good to go. Okay, Akil. Bismillah.
Are we live? I can't see the. Okay. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we send peace and salutations upon the Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions. To proceed, we warmly welcome you to another evening of lectures with Islam for Deaf, with our esteemed Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Maliki, and he's taking us through a guide to the upcoming month of Ramadan, and he's giving us a lecture tonight with the topic of how to increase our faith during the holy month. And we ask Allah the Most High to open up for our Sheikh and to make him successful. فَلْيَتَفَضَّلُوا مَشْكُورًا.
جزاك الله خير. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد الإيمان هو ذلك الأمر الذي يحرك الإنسان، فبدون الإيمان الإنسان يصبح كالجماد لا قيمة له. نعم.
Indeed, all praises are due to Allah, and may peace and salutations be showered upon our Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions. To proceed, having Iman, having faith, or faith is the motivational factor or the motor that drives an individual to act. And without this motivational factor that we call faith or Iman, the individual is like just an object.
كل بني آدم عندهم إيمان، وليس الشأن في كون الإنسان يكون له إيمان، لكن الشأن في أن يكون هذا الإيمان صحيحا وأن يكون هذا الإيمان يزداد.
So every one of the sons and daughters of Adam, they have Iman, they have a type of faith. But it isn't important that they have a type of faith. Rather, what is important is that they have a correct type of faith and that they have this type of faith that increases.
فإن نوع الإيمان من حيث الصحة والفساد هو الذي يجلب للإنسان السعادة أو الشقاء في الدنيا وبعد الممات وبعد البعث.
Because the type of Iman or the type of faith that an individual has, whether it's correct or whether it's incorrect or faulty, this will decide whether the individual is ultimately happy, destined for happiness, or destined for sadness, the opposite, in the hereafter.
فالذي يسعد هو الذي يرضي من أوجد السعادة، والسعادة إنما أوجدها خالق واحد، هو خالق كل شيء وهو رب كل شيء وهو الله. فإذا صح اعتقاد الإنسان وإيمانه بربه صحت له السعادة، وجبت له السعادة. نعم.
And that which brings about happiness, that is that which pleases the one who brought about happiness, the creator and sustainer of everything, Allah the Most High, the one who created everything, the one who created everything. So if an individual's faith is correct and it's well, then they will achieve this happiness from their creator.
والله عز وجل الذي خلق كل شيء أخبرنا بالإيمان الذي يوجب السعادة، وهو الإيمان الذي جاءت به الرسل جميعا. فالله أرسل إلى بني آدم 124,000 نبي ليخبروهم عن كيفية هذا الإيمان الصحيح وليس مجرد الإيمان، لأن مجرد الإيمان الاعتقاد يحصل حتى عند الذين خالفوا رسلهم وهم يؤمنون بما خالفوا به الرسل، لكن ذلك الإيمان لا ينفعهم. نعم.
And Allah is the one who created everything, and He also told us and informed us about the type of faith that brings about or that results in happiness. And He sent to us and He sent to the people a great number of messengers. 124,000 messengers He sent to the people in total. And these messengers, they had specific duties, and their duties were centered around how to correct one's faith. And it wasn't a message that they delivered that people should just have faith, rather that the people should correct their faith. And we see this in the fact that those to whom they were sent, they had a type of faith and they had beliefs. However, the beliefs that they had ran in contrast to the beliefs and the message that the messengers went to them to deliver.
وانظر إلى قول الله عز وجل كما في سورة يوسف: وما يؤمن أكثرهم بالله إلا وهم مشركون. فهم يؤمنون لكنهم يشركون مع هذا الإيمان فيفسدون إيمانهم، فلا ينفعهم هذا الإيمان، لا ينفعهم في الدنيا بالسعادة الحقيقية، ولا ينفعهم في الآخرة بالسعادة التي تحصل لأهل الإيمان الحق الصحيح حين يدخلون، حين تبيض وجوههم، حين يستلمون كتبهم بأيمانهم، حين يدخلون الجنة، والآخرون ماكثون في النار. نعم.
And we can see this from the verse in the chapter about Joseph, the chapter Surah Yusuf, where Allah the Most High says that, which means, and indeed most of the people believe not, except that they associate partners with Allah, showing that they had faith, but their faith was faulty in this respect. And due to this, they did not benefit from their faith in the worldly life, nor in the hereafter. So they would not benefit in the worldly life, so they would not have the happiness in the worldly life, nor would they have the happiness and contentment in the hereafter. So they would miss out all of the virtues and happinesses of the hereafter, whereby those who are happy would receive their books of their deeds in their right hand. Their faces will be illuminated on that day, and they will be entered into the paradise. So those who have faulty or defective faith, they would not benefit and gain these benefits and gain this happiness in the hereafter.
وربنا عز وجل قد أخبرنا عن الإيمان غير الصحيح أنه لا ينفع، كما قال في سورة الأنعام في الآية 158: قال هل ينظرون إلا أن تأتيهم الملائكة أو يأتي ربك أو يأتي بعض آيات ربك، يوم يأتي بعض آيات ربك لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا قل انتظروا إنا منتظرون. إذن هم آمنوا لكن إيمان غير صحيح لا ينفعهم في الآخرة، ولم يكتسبوا به خيرا في الدنيا.
معذرة شيخنا بارك الله فيكم، ما رقم الآية؟
158.
بارك الله فيكم شيخنا. سورة الأنعام.
نعم.
جزاكم الله خير. And Allah the Most High mentions in the chapter Surah Al-An'am, He mentions that, which means, it will take me just a second to get this. He mentions that, nor can you say, if only the scriptures had been revealed to us, we would have been better guided than they. Now there has come to you from your Lord a clear proof, a guide and a mercy. A guide and a mercy. Who then does more wrong than those who deny Allah's revelations and turn away from them? We will reward those who turn away from our revelations with a dreadful punishment for turning away.
وهي الآية التي بعدها.
هي التي بعد هل ينظرون إلا أن تأتيهم الملائكة. And then Allah the Most High says, are they awaiting the coming of the angels or your Lord himself or some of your Lord's major signs on the day of your Lord's on the day your Lord's signs arrive? Belief will not benefit those who did not believe earlier or those who did no good through their faith. So the Sheikh is emphasizing here the importance of having faith and having correct faith. Barakallahu fikum, Sheikhna.
نعم. والله عز وجل بين لنا عقيدة الأنبياء كلهم، إيمان الأنبياء. ما هو هذا إيمان الأنبياء؟ ذكره الله عز وجل في سورة البقرة في الآية 136، فقال سبحانه وتعالى: قولوا آمنا بالله وما أنزل إلينا وما أنزل إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط وما أوتي موسى وعيسى وما أوتي النبيون من ربهم لا نفرق بين أحد منهم ونحن له مسلمون. هذا هو الإيمان، ونحن له مسلمون مستسلمون لله، لا نعبد غير الله، لا نخضع لغير الله، وإنما نؤمن بالله ونتبع رسل الله.
And Allah, He clarified for us the faith of the messengers who came before and how they believed. And He mentioned in the second chapter of the Quran, verse number 136, that which means, say, O believers, we believe in Allah and what has been revealed to us and what has been revealed to Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob and his descendants, and what was given to Moses, Jesus, and other prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and to Allah we all submit. So these messengers, they worshipped Allah alone, and they did not direct any form of worship to other than He. This was the faith of the messengers.
وأما ماهية الإيمان، ما هو الإيمان؟ الإيمان كما بينه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الحديث، في قوله عز وجل، في قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم: الإيمان 60 شعبة. الإيمان 60 شعبة، أعلاها قول لا إله إلا الله، وأدناها إماطة الأذى عن الطريق، وأدناها إماطة الأذى عن الطريق. هذا هو الإيمان كما جاء في حديث أبي هريرة عند مسلم في الصحيح، وأصله في البخاري أيضا، أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: الإيمان 70 أو 60 شعبة، فأفضلها أو قال فأعلى قول لا إله إلا الله، وأدناها إماطة الأذى عن الطريق، والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. نعم.
And now we go to explore what we mean when we refer to faith. What does faith actually consist of? And this is as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, himself taught us, and he said, indeed, faith is 60 and odd branches. It's a number of branches, and the highest level of faith and the highest level of these branches is the statement La ilaha illallah, the statement there is no deity worthy of worship in truth except for Allah. And the lowest level, or the lowest of these branches, is removing the harmful thing from the path. And he mentioned that having bashfulness or being shy is a branch of faith as well. And this narration was reported by Abu Huraira, and it was collected by Imam Muslim. And the fundamentals of the narration and the general meaning of the narration has also been reported in the authentic collection of Imam al-Bukhari as well.
فالإيمان محله القلب، تصديق بالقلب، لكن القلب رائد لجميع الجوارح، فإذا استقر الإيمان في القلب تحركت الجوارح بالخضوع والطاعة. اللسان يصدق ولا يكذب، العين لا تنظر إلى ما حرم الله، الأذن لا تطرب لأي شيء محرم عند الله من الكلام، اليد لا تمتد إلى محرم، الرجل لا تمشي إلى محرم، والفرج لا يطأ محرما، والبطن لا يدخل المحرم، لا يقبل المحرم أن يدخل عليه. ولهذا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الحياء حق الحياء أن تذكر الموت والبلى، ونعم وأن تحفظ الرأس وما وعى والبطن وما حوى، وأن تذكر الموت والبلى. والحياء شعبة من الإيمان، فالحياء الحقيقي هو العمل، هو أن تحفظ جوارحك وبدنك من كل محرم. نعم.
And the place where faith is contained is the heart. This is the vessel in which one's faith is contained. And the heart, it steers the rest of the individual's limbs. So, for example, when the heart is rectified and it's pure, then the actions of the tongue follow accordingly, such that the tongue, it speaks truthfully and it does not lie. The eye, for example, it looks at only those things that are halal and or permissible, and it does not look at those things that are impermissible or should not be looked at. The ears, they listen only to that which is good, and they do not listen to that which is unlawful or not good. The private parts, they are not used in explicit or illicit ways or manners, rather they are used as they should be used. Even the stomach and the intestines, the digestive system, the internals, they do not accept anything except for that which is permissible. So they do not accept that which is impermissible. And the Prophet, peace and شيخنا الحياة حق الحياة هذا حديث أليس كذلك؟
نعم.
And then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he mentioned that having bashfulness or being shy in the best way of having bashfulness, and he mentioned a number of things, is that the individual eats and they eat in a moderate type of way.
نعم. وهذا الحياء وهذا الإيمان، عفوا هذا الإيمان مبناه على الأعمال الصالحة التي دعا إليها القرآن ودعا إليها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. هذا هو معنى الإيمان، أن تعمل الأعمال التي يحبها الله عز وجل وتجتنب ما يبغضه الله عز وجل. عفوا، الحديث الذي ذكرنا لعلي أعطيك يعني نصه، قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم استحيوا من الله حق الحياء، استحيوا من الله حق الحياء. قلنا يا رسول الله إنا لنستحي والحمد لله. قال ليس ذلك، ولكن الاستحياء من الله حق الحياء أن تحفظ الرأس وما وعى والبطن وما حوى وأن تذكر الموت والبلى، ومن أراد الآخرة ترك زينة الدنيا، فمن فعل ذلك فقد استحيا من الله. وهذا الحديث أخرجه الإمام أحمد والترمذي مرفوعا عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه عفوا.
شيخنا ممكن نأخذ الحديث فقرة لو سمحتم؟
نعم. طيب. قال استحيوا من الله حق الحياء.
So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned have bashfulness or be shy from Allah as you should have bashfulness or as you should be shy from him.
قالوا قلنا يا رسول الله إنا لنستحي والحمد لله.
And the messengers, the companions, I beg your pardon, said, O Messenger of Allah, indeed we do this.
قال ليس ذلك ولكن الاستحياء من الله حق الحياء أن تحفظ الرأس وما، ثم نكمل. قال ليس ذلك ولكن الاستحياء من الله حق الحياء.
He said, it's not what you are referring to and it's not what you mean. However, to have true bashfulness or shyness from Allah is that you
أن تحفظ الرأس وما وعى، أي تحفظ العقل الذي في الرأس، لا تذهبه بالخمر والمخدرات.
is that you preserve your head and that which is contained within it, i.e. you preserve your intellect and you preserve your consciousness, so you do not mix it with or taint it with drugs or alcohol.
وتحفظ والبطن وما حوى، أي الأمعاء والقلب والرئتين، فلا تدخل ما يضر من أطعمة فاسدة أو ضارة ولا من مكتسبات محرمة، لا تدخلها إلى جوفك، أي لا تكتسب شيئا حراما ولا تدخل إلى جوفك طعاما حراما أو ضارا.
And also preserve your internal organs, your stomach, and those internal organs like your heart, like your intestines, and those things. So preserve them as well. So do not put within your body that which will cause it harm, nor should you put within your body that which is impermissible. So this encompasses these two things, that one should not put inside their body that which damages it, nor should they put inside their body that which is impermissible.
وكما أن الرأس يحوي المخ والعينان والأذنان والأنف والفم بما فيه، فكذلك البطن الجوف يحوي الأمعاء والكبد والرئتين والكلى والقلب، وأهمها القلب، فلا تدخل عليه ما يفسده من مواد كالدخان مثلا وبعض الأطعمة التي تضره، وكذلك لا تدخل عليه العقائد الفاسدة، فإن العقائد الفاسدة أشد ضررا على القلب من المواد الفاسدة من المطعومات.
So just as the head, it contains within it organs and like the eyes, etc., and it contains within it important organs for the human being. So do the insides, the stomach, or the internal organs. These are also very, very important for an individual, because the inner of an individual, there are lungs, there are kidneys, there's the heart, there are all of these things, and the most important of these internal organs is the heart. And as a result of this, we need to be conscious of anything that will cause these internal organs any sort of harm. So, for example, smoking, it's not permissible. And the heart is the organ that we must take the most care of. And similarly, just as smoking is not permissible and it's not to be done, we should be even more wary of deviant beliefs and that which corrupts the heart from the standpoint of deviant beliefs.
نعم، وأيضا قال وأن تذكر الموت والبلى. الآن الإنسان على وجه الأرض يعيش كأنه لن يموت، والعاقل يستعد لما بعد الموت. العاقل يستعد لما بعد الموت، لأن هذه الحياة لا تدوم على حال ولن تدوم لأحد أبد الآباد، فكلنا مات له أب أو أم أو أخ أو أخت أو عام أو خال أو قرابات أو أصدقاء، ونحن نرى الناس يموتون، وهذا دليل أننا سنموت. لذلك لا ينبغي أن نتخذها دار استيطان. نعم.
And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, and frequently remember death. And this is true. The individual should live, or we see that individuals now, They live this life as though they will not die, and this is the entirety of their existence. However, the one who has intellect and the one who prepares themselves, they prepare themselves for that which will occur after their death and that which will happen to them in the hereafter. And we can all see, and we all have evidence in front of us that this life, the worldly life, it's not something that that is infinite. It's finite, and it will come to an end, because we have all lost those who are beloved to us, whether they be our parents or siblings or someone. We've all lost someone close to us. So this is evidence, and it shows to us that we will return to our Lord, and it shows us that this place that we are in, this place, this world that we are occupying at this moment, this is a temporary abode for us before we move on to our permanent abode.
وربنا عز وجل قد أخبر في كتابه العزيز أن كل الخلق سيموتون، ولهذا قال لنبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم: أفإن مت أفهم خالدون. فالله عز وجل بين أن الموت حق ولا بد أن يكون على كل حي، كما قال سبحانه وتعالى: إنك ميت وإنهم ميتون، وقال: كل من عليها فان. فكل أحد سيموت، إذا لا بد من الاستعداد لتلك المرحلة من مراحل الإنسان. نعم.
And all of the creation, without any exceptions, they will die. And Allah the Most High mentioned to his Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the Quran, he mentioned, indeed you will die, and indeed they perished, or they died, meaning the prophets who came before you, Muhammad, they died as well. So it showed that he was immortal. And also Allah the Most High mentioned in the Quran, everyone who is on the face of the earth, or everyone who's on the face of the earth, or everyone who is in existence, is finite, i.e. they have a fixed limit and a fixed lifespan. So the individual who has intellect, they should prepare themselves for the journey that they are on, because we are already on this journey and we're traversing it. And our journey in the life of this world, it's a journey that takes us to the hereafter.
ولهذا قال علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه: ولو أن إذا متنا تركنا لكان الموت راحة كل حي، ولكن إذا متنا بعثنا ونسأل بعد ذا عن كل شيء.
And for this reason, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, if we were left after we died, we would be left to rest in peace, meaning we would be left and we wouldn't be questioned and we wouldn't be taken into account. However, when we die, we'll be resurrected and we'll be taken into account.
فالخلاصة أن الإنسان يجب أن يعد العدة لما بعد الموت، فإن الإنسان في هذه الحياة الدنيا في فسحة من أمره، لكن إذا بلغت الروح الحلقوم عندئذ لا ينفع الندم ولا يمكن الرجوع ولا يقبل العذر، وإنما هو الجزاء والحساب. فعلى الإنسان أن يعمل من الآن لإنقاذ نفسه. نعم.
So it's incumbent and it's necessary for the individual to make the preparations that they should make for after death now, because this time, this life that you have in the world, it's limited, and there'll be a time when you die, and once you die, there'll be no room for regret. It will not benefit you to regret, nor will there be any opportunity for you to return to the worldly life, to perform righteous deeds so that you may be better, positioned in the hereafter, nor will any excuse be accepted from you at that point, i.e. at the point that you die. So the individual should prepare themselves for the jaza, for the holding, that they'll be held into account, and their reckoning in the hereafter.
والإنسان إذا نظر في دنيا الناس اليوم يعلم أن هذه الحياة ليست لعبا. وأنا أضرب لكم أمثلة. الأول، لو أن جراحا يعمل في جراحة القلب المفتوح وهو في غرفة العمليات وقد شق صدر إنسان وبدأ في العملية، أراد أن يلعب لعبة ما يسمى بالألعاب الإلكترونية في الهاتف الجوال، هل هذا يقر عليه؟ هل هذا يوافق عليه؟ أم يقال له هذا ليس وقت اللعب الآن؟ نعم.
So the individual, in actual fact, they know that the status of this life, this worldly life, is that it isn't a joke, and it's not to be taken as a plaything, and it's a serious matter. And we can look at many examples of this. One such example is the surgeon who is performing open heart surgery. If they were to be performing this, and they opened the patient's chest, and they were about to operate on the heart, and then they started doing something that was useless or inappropriate, such as playing a computer game on their mobile phone, or doing something frivolous at this point, is this something that would be accepted from them? And of course it would not be, because they are playing with something that's very, very important and very, very precious.
وهذه الحياة الدنيا هكذا، لم تخلق ولم نخلق فيها لنلهو ونلعب، وإنما خلقنا لنعمل، والعمل الذي نحن فيه أهم من عمل الطبيب الجراح، لأن الطبيب الجراح غاية ما يقوم به هو إبقاء ذلك المخلوق بعض الوقت الذي قدره الله له. وأما نحن عملنا سيبقينا أحياء سعداء متنعمين في الجنة أبد الآباد. فإذا أهملنا ولعبنا ليس كحال الجراح الذي لهو ولعب فمات بيده المريض. نحن إذا لهونا ولعبنا وغفلنا فإن النتيجة أننا نشقى أبدا ونصلى سعيرا. فهذا أمر أهم من كل الأمور التي قد تمر بنا في الدنيا.
And this is the nature, this is the true nature of the worldly life. We weren't created so that we could play around and be frivolous in it. It wasn't made and created, nor were we made or created for entertaining ourselves within this worldly life. Rather, we were created with a lofty goal to act and to perform righteous deeds. And this goal of ours and this intent that we have, this is more important than the goal and the intent of the surgeon who is performing the open heart surgery. And that's because the individual, the doctor, the surgeon, they are keeping the creation alive. This is their intent, to keep the creation alive for a fixed period, a period of which the Creator has already ordained for that person that they will be alive or they will not be alive. And this might help the individual by the will of Allah for a finite time. However, what we are doing when we complete our righteous deeds and we act in accordance to that which Allah has ordered us to act, this is something which will allow us and enable us to be well and to be good not just in this moment, rather in eternity, and we will always be able to be happy as a result of our actions. So if the person who's performing surgery is foolish, then yes, there are consequences. An individual could die and could perish. However, if we are frivolous and we are foolish as well, then we lose very, very much. There is much, much more than a bit of life in this world that will be at stake. Rather, it will cause us to be failures and to be discontented in the hereafter. And this is, or this concern should be our greatest of concerns.
بقي أن نقول ختاما كيف نزيد الإيمان في رمضان، كيف ننميه؟ أولا أن لا نجعل رمضان شهرا للتفنن في الأكل والشرب، فإن رمضان إنما جعل لتذكيرنا بالعبادات والطاعات، وبتذكيرنا بالذين لا يجدون الطعام والشراب. نعم.
So what remains for us to look at now is the actions and the steps that we should take in order that we can increase our faith during the month of Ramadan. And I say firstly that we do not take the month of Ramadan to be an opportunity for us to be experimental and flamboyant with our food and with our cuisine. Rather, this is not the intent behind Ramadan. Ramadan has been legislated as a reminder for us and a season where we can take advantage of the various types of worship of Allah the Most High that we can perform.
فإذا صمنا دون أن نشغل بالنا بأنواع الطعام وما الذي نريده على الإفطار وعلى السحور، عندئذ نستطيع أن نعيش حياة الصائمين حقا. أما إذا كنا نصوم من أجل أن نأكل أنواعا كثيرة ومختلفة من الطعام، فإن هذا سيستهلك أوقات الصيام بالإعداد الطعام وبشراء مقاديره وأدواته، وهذا يفوت علينا الفائدة العظمى من الصيام، وهو التخلي عن الدنيا. لهذا قال في الحديث القدسي: إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به، يدع طعامه وشرابه وشهوته من أجلي. فهو ترك الطعام والشراب والشهوة، لم يتركها في النهار ليشغل النهار بالاستعداد للأكل في المغرب، ولكن تركها ليجعل النهار مطية إلى رضا الله عز وجل، وسيلة يرضي بها الله عز وجل بكثرة التذكر وكثرة الذكر وكثرة يعني كثرة قراءة القرآن وهكذا.
So when the individual, when they fast and they are not looking or just solely focusing on the meal that they'll break their fast on, or the pre-dawn meal where they will start the fast with, when they're not preoccupied with these things, they can truly fast or gain the essence, the true essence of fasting. And that's because when people look to plan for what they're going to eat, and they plan these flamboyant meals, this takes time. It takes time and it takes preparation. It takes time for the individual to go to the shops to buy the ingredients, to prepare the food, to cook the food, and this takes time that the individual can use to benefit themselves in the true spirit of Islam, or in the true spirit of fasting. So and this is the true meaning of fasting, where the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said in a hadith that he narrated on the authority of his Lord, that the fasting person, when they fast, Allah says that they leave their food, their drink, and their desires for me. So what they have done, the fasting person, they have left the desires of the worldly life for the sake of Allah. And this is the true meaning of fasting. And they haven't simply left it, or they haven't simply left their desires during the daytime so that they can indulge in them after the sun has set. Rather, they have left these things which are normally permissible. They have left them so that they can draw closeness to Allah, so that they can use this time to make remembrance of Allah, to recite His book, and gain closeness to Him.
إذا نظرنا إلى حياة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فنجد أن الطعام والشراب لم يكن من أولوياته، يعني من حيث الكم والنوع. فهذا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يأتي بعد صلاة الفجر إلى بيته فيسأل أم المؤمنين عائشة: هل عندكم شيء يعني ليأكل طعاما في الصباح في أيام الفطر؟ فتقول لا، فيقول: اللهم إني صائم، فيجعل ذلك اليوم يوم صوم لأنه لم يجد شيئا يأكل. وهو أيضا صلى الله عليه وسلم كما تقول أم المؤمنين عائشة يمر عليه الهلال والهلالان والثلاثة أهلة، يعني يمر شهر شهران 3 أشهر ولا يطبخ طعام في بيته. فيقول ابن الزبير لخالته عائشة: ما كان يكون طعامكم يا أمه؟ قالت: الأسودان، التمر والماء. ويقول صلى الله عليه وسلم: بحسب ابن آدم لقيمات يقمن صلبه، يعني لا يهتم بالأكل كثيرا. فهكذا كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أعبد، بل كان أعبد الناس لله عز وجل، لأن الذي يدخم نفسه بالأطعمة وأنواعها ويشغل باله ما الذي سيحضر الليلة. انظر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أصبح ولا لا يدري ماذا عندهم وماذا سيأكل. قال: عندكم شيء؟ قالوا: قال: إني صائم. وهكذا. أما ما يفعله الناس اليوم من شغل النهار كله بتحضير الطعام والحلوى والأشربة وما إلى ذلك، والحرص على وزنها وتقييسها، ثم إشغال وقتهم ما بعد الإفطار، ينشغلون حتى عن الدعاء الذي يكون مستجابا عند الإفطار، يشغلون أنفسهم بالأكل، بل ينشغلون عن صلاة المغرب والمسارعة إليها. بل كثير منهم يصلي في البيت من أجل الطعام. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان لا يأكل لا يفطر إلا على رطبات، فإن لم يجد فتمرات، فإن لم يجد حسوات من ماء، وخرج إلى المسجد فصلى المغرب، ولا يأكل يعني شيئا غير ذلك. هكذا كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، ولذلك تسهل العبادة على من كان هذا حاله. وأما من أثقل من أجاع بطنه في نهاره وشغل بدنه بالإعداد للطعام ثم ملأ منه جوفه، فإن الليل يثقل عليه.
So the Prophet, to move on to the next point, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, his intention and his focus was never food in terms of, and his priority was never food in terms of the quantity or the type of food. And we see many examples of this from his life. For example, after the Fajr, after the dawn prayer, he went to his wife Aisha and he asked her, "Have you got any food, or what food do we have?" And she answered in the negative, that they didn't have any food. So he responded and said, "Oh Allah, indeed, in that case, I am fasting." So he would fast. And she also said that sometimes months would pass and they would not have cooked in their house, so they would have had no cooked food. And Ibn Az-Zubayr, one of the companions, he asked Aisha, he said, "What was the food that you used to eat at the time of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him? What food did you eat with him?" And she said, "We used to eat the 2 black ones," meaning water and dates. This is what the Arabs used to call water and dates because there were staples for them. So it was very, very simple foods that they had. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said also, it's enough food for an individual to have, that which sustains them, that which keeps them going. So it was never about indulgence, and the focus was never about food. And he never gave too much importance to this. So during the month of Ramadan, to spend the whole day talking about food or preparing and planning the meals, going out to buy the ingredients and to cook, to make these drinks and maybe extravagant desserts, it busies an individual to the extent where they might even be too busy to supplicate to Allah during the time when it's recommended to supplicate to him, when the fast is near to be broken. And it might even extend to the point at which people are negligent as relates to the Maghrib prayer. And they, due to the food and their desire for food, they will pray the prayer, the Maghrib prayer at home. But rather, what the guidance of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was that he would break his fast upon fresh dates. And if there were no fresh dates, then he would break his fast upon the dried dates. And if there were no dry dates, he would break his fast upon water, and then he would go to the masjid. And in this manner, with not overindulging and eating too much, acts of worship are made easier. So the individual who doesn't eat so much, they find the energy, they find the lightness, so that they can carry out acts of worship. However, the individual who overindulges and eats and gorges themselves, they will find it very, very much harder to carry out the acts of worship during the month of Ramadan.
ثم إن مما يرفع الإيمان هو تدبر العبادات عموما، وبالذات القرآن، وتدبر ذلك يستوجب حضور الذهن، وهذا يعني أن الإنسان لا بد أن يأخذ قسطا من الراحة في النهار استعدادا لقيام الليل، حتى إذا قام وراء الإمام قام بعقل حاضر وقلب حاضر يتدبر ما يسمع من القرآن. ولو لم يكن يفهم العربية فإنه ينبغي أن يقرأ في النهار شيئا من ترجمة معاني القرآن مما سيقرأ الإمام في ليلته المقبلة، يعني في الليل، حتى يتهيأ إذا قرأت عليه تلك الآيات قد استحضر معانيها، تأثر قلبه، حصل الإيمان وزاد الإيمان في قلبه.
And another action or another course or approach that can increase an individual's faith, increase an individual's Iman, is that they ponder upon the acts of worship in a general sense, and upon the Quran and its meanings in a specific sense. And when the Quran is recited during the month of Ramadan, to listen to it attentively with a heart and a mind that are both present. And if an individual takes some rest, if they have a siesta or they sleep for a short while during the day, so that they can stand in the night and pray and focus, pay attention to what the Imam is reciting, then this is something that is very, very much recommended, so that they can stand with an attentive mind and an attentive heart. And this is even the case if they don't understand Arabic. So if we don't understand Arabic, we could perhaps read the translation of the meanings of the Quran during the day for that which the Imam will recite for that night. And this is something that will help the individual in terms of their faith, and it will help them increase their faith.
أيضا التبكير لصلاة العشاء وصلاة التراويح، والاستحمام قبل ذلك لينشط البدن، ولبس أحسن اللباس، والتطيب بالنسبة للرجال، وعدم استعجال الإمام بإقامة الصلاة أو بتقصير القراءة ونحو ذلك، فإن هذه العبادة موسمية لا ندري تعود على بعضنا أو لا، ونحن متيقنون أن بعض من كان معنا في رمضان قبل الماضي، لأن رمضان الماضي كنا نصليه في البيوت، واليوم بإذن الله نصلي في المساجد ولو كنا متباعدين، لكن ينبغي أن نقبل على الصلاة، لأن لا ندري عامنا المقبل سنبقى على قيد الحياة حتى نصليها أو لا. لذلك لا ينبغي للعاقل أن يأتي متثاقلا أو متخما بالأكل أو يأتي ورائحته ليست جيدة، وإنما يأتي متهيئا وأيضا راغبا في إطالة القيام، لأن الله عز وجل قد أمر قال وقوموا لله قانتين، والقنوت طول القيام، وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يطيل القيام، فلا ينبغي أن يستعجل الإمام في تقصير الصلاة وإنهائها، لأن هذه الصلاة فقدناها العام الماضي في المساجد، ونحن اليوم بشوق عظيم لها، فنستقبل هذه الصلاة بهذه اللهفة وهذا الشوق. الأمر الثاني أيضا أن لا ننشغل في الصلاة، بعض الناس ينشغل يحمل المصحف أو يفتح القرآن من التطبيق من الجوال وينشغل عن السمع والتركيز، وهذا يذهب كثيرا من لذة القرآن ومن تدبر القرآن ومن زيادة الإيمان. نعم.
Also, the individual, they should hasten to the Isha, to the night prayer and the Salat al-Tarawih, the prayer that follow, the night prayers that follow Isha. They should hasten to them and go to them early. They should go to them after having washed and being in a clean state and wearing the best of clothes. The men, they should wear perfume and they should enter it in a sense where they are ready to take the benefits of the prayer. The individuals attending also, they shouldn't look to rebuke the Imam. They shouldn't look to fault find or to rush the Imam. This is something that we need to take benefit from, and we should feel that actually last year we were praying in our homes, and this year by the permission of Allah we can pray in the masajid even though socially distanced. So we should make the most of it, and we should attend with the feeling that this really could be our last year of standing in the masajid, because who knows if next year we will be able to. So we should prepare ourselves. The individual should not go to the masjid for the night prayer on a really full stomach or smelling badly or in an unprepared manner, because this all takes away from the benefits and attaining the full sweetness of the prayer. Also, we shouldn't, if the Imam wants to stand for a particularly long time and elongate the recitation, we shouldn't rebuke them if they are to do so. And Allah the Most High says in the Quran, and stand to Allah, stand firm in your prayers to Allah. So don't rush them. Rather, if they are standing for a long period of time, take this as a great blessing. And the individuals who are praying behind the Imam, they shouldn't allow themselves to get distracted during the prayer. Rather, they should be focused and they should listen attentively to the recitation of the Imam, and they shouldn't be holding small copies of the Arabic Quran, the Mus'haf, nor should they be having their mobile phones on and following the recitation on their mobile phones, looking at the pages, because all of this takes away from the sweetness of the recitation and indeed the sweetness of the experience. And all of this, it leads to a decrease in the faith or the Iman of the individual.
أيضا مما يرفع الإيمان في القلب استغلال الأوقات بالذكر والدعاء، بالذات الأوقات المنصوص عليها، فمثلا الدعاء عند الإفطار، والدعاء وقت الأسحار، والدعاء بين الأذان والإقامة، والدعاء في السجود، هذه أوقات يكون الدعاء فيها مقبولا، فيدعو الإنسان لنفسه بزيادة الإيمان والثبات على الهدى والثبات على الدين الحق، ويدعو لوالديه بالمغفرة والرحمة، ويدعو لإخوانه بالصلاح وأولاده كذلك، فيستغل الأوقات هذه بالدعوات. وكذلك الأذكار يحافظ على أذكار الصباح والمساء والدخول والخروج والنوم والاستيقاظ، ويكثر كثيرا من ذكر الله ومن الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. هذا ينمي الإيمان ويزيده في القلب.
And also the individual should take full opportunity and take every advantage of the virtuous times and the good recommended times to make remembrance of Allah and to supplicate to him. So for example, at the time around when they are breaking the fast, this is a time when the supplication is more acceptable to Allah the Most High. So we should make dua, we should supplicate to him abundantly during this time. Between the adhan, the call to prayer, and the iqama, the smaller call to prayer, the one that's immediately before the prayer. This is a period in which the individual can supplicate to Allah, and the supplication is more likely to be answered. When they're in prostration, this is also another place. So they should take advantage of all of these places and all of these times where the supplication is more worthy to be answered or more likely to be answered. And when they do so, they should pray for themselves, that Allah increases them in faith and accepts from them, that He gives them establishment upon His religion. They should also pray for their parents, that Allah forgives them, etc. They should pray for their children and also for their brothers and sister Muslims. So the individual should take advantage of all of these opportunities, as well as making remembrance of Allah frequently. And from that remembrance that they can make is sending the peace and salutations upon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. For indeed all of this, it all adds up and it all helps to increase the individual's faith during this month.
ومما يزيد الإيمان في رمضان تفطير الصائمين، فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من فطر صائما فله مثل أجره. وهذا ليس قاصرا بالصائمين الفقراء، يجوز أن يفطر حتى الأغنياء، يفطرهم ولو فطرهم على تمرة أو جزء من التمرة، فكوا بها ريقهم وأنهوا بها صومهم، فيكون له مثل أجرهم. ولو أطعمهم فوق ذلك طعمة عشاء كان خيرا وبركة. وأما إذا كان يخرج زكاته فإنه لا بد أن يتحرى الفقراء ولا يجعلها إفطارا للصائمين في المساجد، فإن إفطار الصائمين في المساجد يؤمه الفقراء والأغنياء، والزكاة لا يأخذها إلا الفقراء. فيتعاهد جيرانه، يرسل لهم طعاما، يرسل يعني للصائمين في المساجد. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: لن تدخلوا الجنة، قال: لن تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا. إذن الإيمان هو سبب دخول الجنة. ويقول صلى الله عليه وسلم أطعموا الطعام وصلوا الأرحام، أفشوا السلام وأطعموا الطعام وصلوا الأرحام تدخلوا الجنة بسلام. إذن هذه من وسائل زيادة الإيمان، لأنه قال لن تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا، وهنا قال إذا فعلتم هذه الأشياء تدخلوا الجنة. إذن هذه الأشياء فعلها يزيد الإيمان. والله عز وجل أخبرنا كما في سورة الإنسان أن مثل هذه الأشياء ترفع الدرجات في الجنة، تسبب دخول الجنة وترفع الدرجات. قال عن المؤمنين أنهم قال ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا. قال العلماء على حب الله، وقالوا على حب أي على حب الطعام، يعني أعطوهم مما يعني يشتهونه، لأن الله عز وجل يقول: لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. فالله أكرمهم بماذا؟ أكرمهم بأن جزاهم جنة وحريرا وأنعم عليهم. فالإنسان إذا أراد زيادة الإيمان فليتبرع ولو بشيء من قوته من إفطاره، فإن هذا يزيد إيمانه ويعني يرضي ربه ويكون سببا في سعادته في الدنيا والآخرة ودخول الجنة، والله أعلم.
Also, from the actions that can increase an individual's faith during Ramadan is that they feed the fasting people. And the individual who provides food for a fasting person will attain the reward of that fasting person without any diminishment of their reward. And this is something that isn't specific to the needy. Rather, any fasting individual that you give them the food by which they can open their fast, you will get the reward by the will of Allah. And this is even if it is just with a date or even half a date, you will get the reward for the fasting of that individual. However, if you were to give them food and a meal, then this is even better, and there is barakah, there is blessing in this. As for if you were to try to use and expend your charity money, your zakah money, then this is something that you can do. But if you're looking to feed people, the poor and the destitute, through your zakat money, through your charity money, then you have to specifically only give it to individuals who are poor or who are deserving. This isn't something generally that you can do and give out in the masjid, because in the masjid, when you give out the food is given to people irrespective of their financial status and their backgrounds. So you can also give food as well, give it to your neighbors, give it to those who are around you. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said that you will not enter the Jannah, the paradise, until you love one another. And this is an action that causes individuals to love one another. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, feed the people and give the salam to each other, give the salutations of peace, keep good relations, good ties of relations, and enter the paradise of your Lord in peace. So these are all good actions that the individual should hasten to carry out. And also, Allah the Most High, he mentioned the reward of those people who feed others in the chapter Al-Insan, the chapter of the people in the Quran, where he said that which means, and the people, they feed others food despite their love of having food, and they feed those who are poor, the orphans, and also the prisoners. And Allah the Most High, he explains the outcome or the result of the believers doing so, that their reward is the paradise and all the nice things that they will have in the paradise. So even if it is something small or something that we would maybe not look at as so significant, then this feeding, it brings about a great amount of good. And Allah the Most High, he knows best.
ومما يزيد الإيمان في رمضان ما تقوم به هذه الجمعية المباركة من دروس يومية، من تفسير القرآن ودروس من علماء أجلاء. نبشركم أنه الحمد لله قد حصلنا على موافقات عديدة من كبار يعني العلماء في المدينة وخارج المدينة، وإن شاء الله سيكون معنا كل يوم عالم من العلماء، وقبله يكون نصف ساعة قراءة من القرآن تترجم بلغة الإشارة، ثم نصف ساعة مع عالم من العلماء يحدثنا عن موضوع من مواضيع ديننا، فنجلس في روضة من رياض الجنة يرتفع بها إيماننا وتزكو بها نفوسنا ونرضي بذلك ربنا عز وجل. فاحرصوا بارك الله فيكم على هذه المجالس، وهي مجالس يومية ستكون وسيعلن عنها في حين إن شاء الله، تكون مساء. ونشكر يعني الجمعية على سعيها الدؤوب من العام الماضي وقبله من الأعوام في نشر هذا الخير لإخواننا من الصم. وكذلك نشكر المترجمين للغة الإنجليزية والمترجمين بلغة الإشارة، فجزا الله الجميع خيرا على هذه الأعمال المباركة والفاضلة، والله تعالى أعلم، وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
And also from the actions that can increase an individual's faith is that which this blessed charity that we are all benefiting from right now is doing in the setting up of lessons and sittings and gatherings where the religion of Al-Islam is studied and the Quran is explained. And we give you the glad tidings that we have received a number of affirmative or confirmations from senior scholars within the prophetic city in Saudi Arabia and also outside of the prophetic city that will be able to present to you on a daily basis a scholar who will give a 30-minute lecture about fasting, about the virtues of fasting, and about our religion, so that we can sit and we can learn. And when we sit and we learn in this way, we are sitting in a garden from the gardens of paradise. And in doing so with a good intention, we please our Lord and we gain his pleasure. So by the will of Allah, these will be daily gatherings that will be in the evenings, and it will consist of a program of a half hour of recitation of the Quran that will be translated into sign language, followed by this half hour of one of the scholars giving a talk that's relevant to the listeners and that's relevant to Ramadan. And we ask Allah to accept these efforts, and we thank the charity Islam for Deaf for their efforts last year in bringing this program together, and indeed for previous years that came before that. And we also thank the translators for translating, and we ask Allah that He accepts these blessed actions, and may He shower peace and salutations and blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions.
Jazakallah Sheikh.
Barakallahu feekum, Sheikh.
Akil. I just have two quick ones. If we can quickly answer them, inshallah. Is zakat permissible? Is zakat permissible for poor people at iftar, to feed poor people in iftar? Is that permissible? Zakat.
The Sheikh answered this. شيخنا هل يجوز أن نزكي يعني ندفع الزكاة للفقراء للإفطار؟
No, sadaqas. الزكاة.
إذا كان الذين يأكلون هذا الطعام كلهم فقراء يجوز. أما أن يقدم الطعام في المساجد كما هو معهود، تعرف يأتيها الفقير وغير الفقير، فهذا لا يجوز، لأن هذه الزكوات الله عز وجل قال إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين، فما ينفع أن نطرحها في المسجد ويأكل منها غير المسكين والفقير.
So it's permissible to feed people through zakah if we can ascertain that these people who will be eating the food will only be the poor and the destitute. And this isn't the case for these open type iftars or feeding people at the masjid, because as we know, everyone from all walks of society attends these. And Allah the Most High said, indeed, the compulsory charity, the zakah, is only applicable to the fuqara and the masakin, the poor and the destitute, and then the other types of people it's due for. So if you can ascertain that it will only go to the poor and the destitute, then this is permissible, and if not, then not.
Okay, Jazakallah. The last quick question is, can you follow prayers at home when the imam's in the masjid?
شيخنا أكرمكم الله، هل يجوز متابعة هل يجوز متابعة الإمام وأنت في البيت؟ يعني تتابعه في التلفاز أو بالنت أو بما أشبه ذلك. حفظكم الله.
النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان بيته ملاصقا للمسجد، هكذا جدار واحد يفصل بينهما، وعائشة كانت تكون في بيتها والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي بالناس في المسجد ولم تكن تصلي وراءه. ولو كانت الصلاة من البيوت متابعة للإمام جائزة لقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لأمهات المؤمنين وبيوته كلها ملاصقة للمسجد، لقال لهن صلين في بيوتكن مؤتمات بي. وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في جدار بيت عائشة نافذة إلى المسجد، كان إذا اعتكف يخرج رأسه منها حتى ترجله لها تمشطه. فلو كان هذا صحيحا لا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لأمهات المؤمنين يصلين من بيوتهن. لكن المسجد بيت الله وبيتك هو بيتك أنت، والصلاة جماعة للرجال تكون في بيت الله، ومن أرادت من النساء أن تصلي في بيت الله فلا مانع، لكن أن تصلي في بيتها مؤتمة بمن يصلي في بيت الله هذا جمع لمفترق لا يجتمع ولا تصح الصلاة بهذه الطريقة. بل يصلي الإنسان إن كانت امرأة تصلي في بيتها صلاتها هي ولا تأتم بالإمام. ولو قلنا عبر التلفاز إذن لألغينا كل المساجد وصلينا وراء إمام الحرم المكي عبر الإنترنت. وكلنا الآن أريكم أنا الآن على مدار الساعة الحرم المكي النقل مباشر على مدار الساعة. انظروا هذا الآن نقل مباشر، الآن أنتم ترون مكة الآن. فهل يعقل أننا نصلي جميعا، نترك المساجد ونصلي وراء الحرم ونقول هذه 100,000 صلاة؟ هذا لا يكون. لا بد من أن يأتي الرجال إلى المسجد ويصلون في المسجد، أما الائتمام من البيوت فلا يصح أبدا. نعم.
So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, his house was connected to the masjid. It was right next door to the masjid, and there was nothing preventing it, or there was nothing between it, meaning his house, and the masjid except a dividing wall. He would go to the masjid and pray, and Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, his wife, she would stay in the home. And if it was permissible for her to have prayed in the house and to have been led in the prayer by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he would have told her to have done so. And this was with a house, a dwelling that was in such close vicinity to the masjid. It was so close that when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he would poke his head out of the masjid and she would be able to wash his hair. But we find that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he never encouraged or ordered or stipulated that Aisha nor any of the other mothers of the believers should pray in the homes while following the prayer of the Imam in the masjid. And we make note and we mention to you that the masjid is the house of Allah and your house is your house. So if the individual wants to pray in the house of Allah, then they must leave their house and their home and they should go and they should pray there. And there's nothing preventing the woman or the female, if she wants to go to the masjid, then she should go. She should go and she should attend the prayer. However, if we were to say that the prayer behind the individual leading the prayer on the television, for example, is correct, then we would say that we might as well close all of the masajid in the world and all of us pray behind the Imam in the masjid in Mecca or Medina. But obviously this is something that we cannot do and it's nonsensical. And look, the Sheikh then showed on his phone, there is a live feed right now there are prayers going on in the masjid, in the haram. Would it be sensical, or would it be acceptable to say that if we prayed behind the imam using the live feed, that we would then have the reward of 100,000 prayers, because this is the reward of praying in Medina, in the masjid there, sorry, in Mecca. This is the reward of praying in Mecca. Of course, it's not the case that we would be able to attain that reward. So the yes, so so the man, if they are, if or the female, the individual, if they want to attain the blessings of attending the masjid, then they must go to the masjid and attend the masjid. And the female, if she wants to be led by the imam, then she cannot be led while she is at home. She must go to the masjid as well, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khairan, everybody. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, Tom, and Akil. These lessons, alhamdulillah, is like light in darkness. So may Allah give you light, Sheikh. And may Allah give you light, Tom and Akil.
Ameen.
Jazakallah khairan. Jazakallah khairan. We'll meet again, inshallah.
And I will, inshallah, pray for you all and for Tom as well.
Yes.
Jazakallah
we will. Abdul Hakim, could I have a very quick moment with Sheikh, just off the air?
Okay, inshallah. Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
Let me